The following 4 types of feeling arise in the heart of man. 1. I am the body born of my parents. 2. I am the subtle atomic principle, different from the body. 3. I am the eternal principle in all the diverse perishable objects in the world. And 4. The I, as also the world, are pure void like space. Of these, the first is conducive to bondage, and the others to freedom. The desires that are related to the first cause bondage. Desires that are concomitant to the other 3 do not cause bondage. So we've been talking about desires, and it seems that some desires are actually conducive to liberation. And we've got these 4 types of feelings here that are described. And I think they're a description of spiritual practice. The first is, I am the body born of my parents. This is a sense of you as a person, you as an individual, you as a particular identity. Usually in a social context, very much caught up with how others see you and how you see yourself. And that sort of thing is just going to be self-perpetuating, and it isn't going to put you in touch with your own awareness. And then number 2 is, I am the subtle atomic principle, different from the body. And this is the sense that, well, that you're not the body, and that you might be a kind of insubstantial thing, what we call a soul, something which is capable of thought and which can control the body, something insubstantial which can control this substantial body, just as I'm controlling my hand here or my mouth through thinking about doing so, having the intention to do so. So we've got this sort of subtlety going on here. It's called the subtle atomic principle because we're not aware of this inner self or this sense of self. We're not aware of it being chopped up. It seems to be the one thing. It's what I would mean by me, rather than calling the body me, which I don't really recognise when I look in a mirror because it's always changing. There's a sense of something inside which isn't changing. So apparently that's not conducive to bondage, but I think that's probably open to debate. But once we've got that sense of something of a self which is somehow different from the body, different from the world that's going on, then we can move to our awareness, which is here described as the eternal principle in all the diverse perishable objects in the world. This is awareness. It's what is common to everything that is going on, is that it is arising in my awareness. Now you might say, well, what about objects that aren't arising in my awareness? Well, these are just ideas. It's just an idea that there's objects not arising in my awareness. And that idea itself arises in my awareness also. So everything within my experience, within the experiencing, is arising within my awareness. Now we're talking. And 4, the I, as also the world, are pure void like space. So these are the 2 fundamental notions which govern the behaviour which takes us away from awareness. The notion of an I, a me, and also the notion of the world. And they're pure void like space. It's just like a dream. It's just like a dream or any other notion. Does a notion have substance? Does an idea have substance? Because that's all the world appearance and the notion of an I are. They're ideas, they're notions that we form, they are beliefs that we form, and we act in accordance with them. And they're void like space. Like dreams, like notions, like ideas, like beliefs. They don't have any intrinsic substance. Once the realization that I am the self of all has arisen, one does not again fall into error or sorrow. This self that we've just mentioned, this sense of self, there's absolutely no reason to suppose that it is different from all the other apparent selves walking around. It's like consciousness, it's like space. We can't divide space up. We can plot space, but we can't say this space here is somehow different from this space here. And if I isolate it, have I got some isolated space here? Have I actually taken some space out of the overall space here? And can I move that space around? It's just space. Space isn't doing anything. I'm not doing anything into it. And that is the same with consciousness. We have the illusion that we're little pots of consciousness, little containers of consciousness moving around. But nothing's happening, it's just consciousness. And that's what is meant by I and self. It is this self alone which is variously described as the void, nature, Maya, Brahman, consciousness, Shiva, Purusha, etc. That alone is ever real. There is naught else. Resort to the understanding of non-duality, for the truth is non-dual. However, action involves duality, and hence functions in apparent duality. Thus let your nature partake of both duality and non-duality. We need to communicate, so we need to be able to slip into the dual mode. But in the realization that it's just a mode and we can come back to our non-dual mode. The reality is neither duality, for it is the mind that creates division, nor unity, for the concept of unity arises from its antithesis of duality. When these concepts cease, the infinite consciousness alone is realized to be the sole reality. It's awareness. Just simple awareness. Awareness of awareness.